Welcome to Harv's World for episode 4 of the Pacific Northwest. As you can see, it's about 6:40 in the morning and we have got work to do. So we've got the new horses, they need to be taken care of, and it looks like our crops have come in. Field 22 and Field 11 both are ready to be harvested, so we got harvesting to do. We need to get the horses worked, and we need to see about what our future holds. We're going to look into that, figuring out exactly where we want to go, what we want to do. We've got the horses. I'm thinking we need to expand our land for the moment, but I'm kind of thinking towards a cattle ranch, a dairy ranch of some kind. Not completely sure yet, but I think that's the direction I want to go. Now, one thing I know for sure, before we do anything else, we need to mow this grass here. If we want to buy more horses in the not too distant future, which is about 2 days away actually, I'm going to buy 4 more. And we saw that it took 4 bales of hay just to start off feeding these 4, so it's about a bale per horse. So we're going to need a bunch more hay in the future. And we've had these horses for about 12 hours now, and they're not doing too bad. Let's take a look. I think I might just let the feeding go for now. Yeah, they've got plenty. They're not going to starve anytime soon. But they do need to be worked. Right now you can see 0%. Now I did end up working them last night. Got that taken care of, but today not so much. So we're going to get that out of the way first off. I'll just get right out of the pen and let this guy go for a little bit. Now, if you've never done horses before, they do need to be worked every day. And it doesn't matter what speed. It's actually more about time. There's our oats ready to come in. And we've got a lot of grass here too, so we're going to be mowing all of the edges. We're going to get as much hay right now as we can today, but to get back on track, when you're working your horses, it doesn't matter. You don't need to gallop, you don't need to trot. You know, you can just walk the horse. Like so, as long as he's in motion and you're on his back, you are doing what you need to do to get him exercised for the day. And we can see this is Prickles. We really need to rename him, but he's already at 20%, so it's not going to take too long. Although it is much more fun to ride them at a gallop than it is to just walk around. And it also gives us an opportunity to kind of get out and about and see what's around us. Now there's a good sized field right here that we might consider. Right now it's got beets in it. I would wait until that was cultivated before buying it, because the expense of a beet harvester is not something we can afford right now, and I'm sure it wouldn't even pay the leasing costs. This field isn't that big. Come across the ravine, we've got a few other fields out here. This one's not bad either. Now I really like this field with the corn in it at the moment. It comes all the way down to the road, so we get this whole open section too, which would need some landscaping. It's obviously been let go, but we could get some placeables down here, maybe a bale barn, something like that. Now we don't necessarily have the equipment to work a field this big yet, but we could get it done with what we have if we had to. And it would move us in a direction that would get us a lot closer to our our goal. I think something else that I'm going to do today, and I was thinking about this earlier, but I think we're going to plant a few trees. We have room on our fields to do that right along the edge of the road, and that won't restrict any movement. So we're going to look into leasing a tree planter and maybe a pallet of two, because once those grow, we can make our money back on those pretty darn quick. But again, our next agenda right now is mowing grass. So I'm going to finish working these horses, and when they are done, we're going to look into a mower. See you in a little bit. Alright, so I'm just bringing the last horse back in. Mr. Ed, we call him. No, he didn't ask to call me Wilbur, but he does kind of look like Mr. Ed, so I felt that name was appropriate. He's at 100%, and that's what we were looking for. He's a good jumper. Now again, if you've never had horses before, one thing that you have to do every day after riding them, well, when you ride them, they get quite dirty, so you've got to take a minute and stop and brush them. As soon as Mr. Ed will park his butt somewhere. There he goes. So a couple quick brushes, and he is clean, and you can see that right here, 100% cleanliness. Now we can see that Mr. Ed is at 15% of his value at this point. When we first bought them at $5,000, they dropped down to about $2,500, and today, because we've worked them, they've already made us money. We could sell them now and turn a profit. So horses are going to be very good for our pocketbooks after that initial investment. At this point, I am going to, because we've got a lot of work to get done on the farm today, I'm going to go grab the harvester, bring it over to field 11, and we'll see if we can't get somebody to harvest that for us. I'm pretty sure that field is small enough that the harvester will just handle it without needing to be emptied. If we can get across the road without somebody slamming into us, or without slamming into too many things ourselves. There we go. And yes, we'll send that helper on their way. Get back to the fence. Now, I don't think the fent is going to carry us through our next chore, so I'm going to grab the case. Let's leave that here. We're going to look into our mowing options, and since we are not looking to make silage right now, we specifically want to make hay. Drop this weight. And since I know we're going to have to pick it up from the store anyway, we might as well just go drive down there and see what they're offering. 4 ways, Harv, 4 ways. There we go. Do a little first person here. It's actually almost easier to just drive in first person than third. So I don't know why I don't use it more, I just don't. let's see what our options are at the store as far as mowing goes. We have many, and right now I like the butterfly mowers, but that's a little beyond our price point right now. This isn't bad, but I'd rather have either a push. I really want a push mower, and we could just do the front attachment. It's 3 meters wide at 15,000 on the Kuhn, 19,000 on that Novacat. We've got a different variety of Novacat. I think we're probably going to go with this Kuhn mower, 3.3 meters, and I will tell you exactly why. First of all, it's only $765 to lease. That's going to serve us well. But what we can do is we can grab a tedder at the same time. We only need a small one. As long as it's at least 4 meters wide, we're good. That's 11,000. Even the smallest ones are 11,000, so we will grab a tedder also. And let's get that stuff picked up. And I'm sure you understand at this point exactly why. We can mow in the front, ted in the back, and it automatically will turn into hay for us. We have the horsepower to do it. So let's get it done. Now luckily we don't have a lot to mow, that's why I can manage this without the butterflies. It would go a little quicker with them, but it would also cost us so much more money, and I don't want to spend it right now. Technically, with the small fields we have, I probably shouldn't even be hiring helpers yet, but we got a lot to do. We got a lot to get done today. Like I said, I want to get these mowed. We need to get them get 11 and 22 harvested, get the mowing done. The hay's going to have to be baled, and we're going to need a windrower too, so that's going to be added expense, and that's fine. We'll get another baler down here, or up here, and with a little luck we can at least prep our fields for new crops once the harvest is done. But my big goal right now is to get the grass done, the hay taken care of, and maybe get some trees in. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so I think that's all the mowing I'm going to do for now. We are going to have a bunch of hay. My one concern at the moment, however, is I didn't want to get too close to this field because I didn't want to mix the hay and the straw. Once we start baling, it'd be pretty easy to run the pickup over something that would cause us to start kicking out the wrong type of bale. So let's get these over to the yard, drop them off. Grab the trailer and go empty our harvester. I was right. It was just big enough, just barely big enough to cover that field, but it did it. We got 10,000 liters of oats sitting there waiting to be put away. And it won't be an issue now, so I'll go ahead and pick up the weight. Yeah, we should have a good amount of hay. We're going to have to think about a way to store that too. Just letting it sit out in the open is probably not the best idea. We haven't had any rain yet, but I don't think wet hay is going to be very beneficial to us. Double check our field. And yeah, that's all harvested, so we are sitting good there. We still have plenty of time to worry about our soybeans. And what kind of prices are we looking at today? Soybeans. So we're at 1671 at agro wholesale. And in my opinion, that's a little low, but we might go ahead and sell anyway. Whatever we have coming off the field, we've also got another almost 15,000 liters in the silos, so I think it's 1671. Again, it's a little lower than I would like, but I think we're going to go ahead and sell. And the next thing that I want to do is run back down to the store, pick up a windrower, and get all of this grass put into nice, neat rows so that we can turn it into bales. And I was just checking the oat price there just to be sure. You know, if it had been a price that we just couldn't do without, then I might have considered selling it. But no, there's nothing going on there that's going to make it worth more to sell the oat than it is to just keep it. So we will keep it for our horse. Horses, plural. And let's get our equipment turned in. We used it for less than half an hour. That's good. So no additional fees. And while we're in here, let's see what we've got. Now as windrowers go, I want something a little bit wider because we do have quite a bit to pick up. That's only 4 meters. That's just too expensive. What's the lease cost on this thing? 1,500. That's pretty steep. we can get this one for 1100. Yep, let's go with that. Never used it before, so I'm going to run down to the store, grab this windrower, get back up here and start taking care of that, and I will see you on the field. Right, so I think the windrowing is done. For the most part, I'm going to do one quick pass around. We can just scoop that up with the baler. Just make sure I didn't miss anything too dramatic, which I may have, but again, we can resolve that elsewhere. It's a good thing that these fences are in place, because otherwise I would probably just end up crashing and burning in a valley. Who knows, maybe that would be slightly more entertaining, I don't know. The traffic around here is awful. I mean, they stop for nothing. Actually, I don't know what I was thinking, because I gotta go to the store to pick up a baler, so might as well drive this on down there. And you know, I was thinking while all that windrowing was taking place, I kind of get stumped sometimes. I feel like a lot of these episodes are just going to turn into speedy compilations of shots of me doing different chores and whatnot. I realized this is my first time around, only the 4th episode. Never done this before. So I'm a bit at a loss as to where to go from this point. Not as a loss as to how do I want to complete the map. That's never been an issue for me. It's just, what do you guys want to see? You know, I went through a range of thoughts while this was going on. I was thinking, you know, you kind of suck at this. You should probably just stop. But I've been many things in my life, and one of them has never been quitter. In fact, if anything, I've probably been accused of beating my head against a wall far longer than I should have, when maybe I should have just walked away from something. But again, I'm not a quitter, and I have to accept the fact that this is all brand new to me. And I keep going on about how it's a learning experience, and every episode I'm going to learn something new, I hope. And maybe I'll be able to give something back to somebody. I don't know that anybody will ever even necessarily watch these. If you have up to this point, I appreciate your patience. Glad you're along for the ride. I am enjoying playing this map. I think things are going about as well as I can expect, at least for the beginning. And that's another issue, you know, right now. It's the beginning of the map, so things are slow. And it is tedious, and it does become somewhat repetitive just because you're trying to get things started. So, you know, these are all things that I have to keep in mind while I'm doing this. I don't need to return it or repair it, because all I have to do is return it. And then this time, as far as balers go, I'm going with a square baler because we've got a lot to get done. I know it's a lot more expensive. How much is that? 105. That's slightly cheaper. The Fent is not. I've never used the Galignani balers before. I'm not sure. It doesn't even tell me what size the bales are. Let's take a look. It looks like a full-size baler, but that also looks like a round baler, and I don't want a round baler right now. I definitely want square. Let's go with the Deutz-Fahr. It's going to be $5,000. We'll easily have enough bales to make that back, even though we're not going to sell them. We don't need to worry about options at this point because, again, it's a rental or a lease, so we don't necessarily care. But between our oat harvest and this hay, we should have a good amount. Now we're going to have to start thinking about bale storage. I think I've got an idea for that, but it's going to be a little spendy. Nothing we can't make back with a contractor too, though, and that's what I've got to start remembering also. I know I'm probably nickeling and diming myself to death a little bit on the leases, especially right now when we're trying to get a lot done. But doing some contracts will earn that money back. You know, I earned almost $100,000 in a very short amount of time. It actually didn't take very long. Even the harvesting didn't take very long. Fertilizer contracts are obviously much faster, but they don't pay off quite as well just because of the extra, the extra crop you get off there that you can sell for yourself. So going back to what I was saying earlier, I just have to keep reminding myself at this point, this is all new. These are skills that you'll have to develop. And, for a first time, I guess if I really stop and look at it, not the worst first time in the world. I could just, be doing gameplay and slapping it online and saying, here you go. But no, I'm going to try to add a little production value. I'm going to try to make it as entertaining as I can for a first time, and as I go along, I think things will get better and better and better. Those guys out there that have been doing this for a long time, YouTubers who've been playing since Farm Simulator 13. Years and years and years, and they've got lots and lots of people who watch them. But if you go back and look at some of their first stuff, if you even have access to it, and it was pretty sloppy. It was pretty unskilled. But over time, they've developed what they enjoy, what they like to do, and I think that comes through a lot. Comes through a lot in their episodes. And that's a very good thing, obviously. They have some talent, but talent's not the only thing that's going to carry them through. It's got to be skill, and they're developing those skills as they go along. And when you stop developing skills, I think that's when you become stagnant. And that's probably when people burn out and walk away. And I was having a conversation with a friend just the other day about drawing. And I have been to art school. I have an associate's degree in computer animation, of all things. And, You know, one thing about kids, one thing that we learned in art school was everybody knows how to draw. If you can write your own name, you can draw a picture. That's what they tell us. And what happens is, you know, kids love to draw. They'll grab their crayons, they'll grab a pencil, whatever. And I remember doing this when I was a kid. They loved to draw. And they'll just draw anything, you know. How many pictures of mom and dad have you seen on somebody's refrigerator? Well, virtually every kid on the planet has probably drawn that picture. And so the more the kid loves to draw, the more they're going to try to do. And ultimately what ends up happening is you'll see the kids start to draw the same pictures over and over again. And the reason they keep drawing these same pictures over and over again is because they are trying to make the picture more realistic, more like what they're seeing in real life. And unless they have some guidance, unless they have somebody at that point in their life saying, well, this is how you need to do that, and start training them to become better artists and be able to find a way to create that realism, they eventually get frustrated and quit. And they stop drawing. Now there are those who just naturally find their way. But most kids you'll see will just end up getting frustrated and quitting. And that's a shame, because I think, you know, something as simple as drawing, even though it is something as simple as drawing, provides a creative outlet that we don't necessarily always appreciate. And, you know, every parent's going to say, oh, I love your drawing, it's so good, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately the kid's going to figure out that you're just saying it because you're mom and that's what you're expected to say, or your dad and that's what you're expected to say. And, you know, if we could keep that childlike enthusiasm toward an artistic ability like that, you know, how great would it be to carry that into adulthood? Because as we become adults, we do start to lose some of our childlike instincts, and, you know, everybody says, oh, you need to develop your inner child. Well, maybe so. But we also have to look at the reasons that we lost it to begin with. There we go. The baling is complete. We've got quite a few, and again, we're going to have to think about some way to store these up. And I have looked into it just a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. As soon as this traffic gets out of our way, what we're going to do is send this baler back where it belongs, have them pick it up, okay, so we have some options, but the one that I like best is the square bale barn. Will hold 120 bales. It has a reasonably small footprint. If we take a look at it, that's not too shabby. And I kind of like the placement right here. Get turned around. Now it's not going to do us any good for our round bales there, but they can just stay where they are. I'll make sure it's squared up properly, and it is not quite. There we go. Try to keep a nice line straight off of our other barn, but we do have some room to work with here. There we go. Now that was 48,000. But this will allow us to store hay, straw, and silage. It will tell us how many we have. It will store 120 of each. So we are good to go. At least I believe, based on what this is telling me right here. Again, it's not going to do us any good for these round bales, but there are so few of them, I'm not terribly concerned about it. And we've got bale forks already, so time to start collecting bales. One thing I didn't look at, however, is where do we put them in? Okay, so we've got triggers right here. I'll give that a shot. Oh, that was close. That was too close for comfort. Oh well, life goes on. Oh, there we go. Just bring them right up to the front. And we go inside. We can see they're stacked nice and neat right over there. Interesting. Our storage space hasn't gone down at all, so I don't know if that's necessarily calculating properly, but I guess we'll find out. I know we don't have 120 bales here. I see a lot of people playing with side panels where they've got a joystick that they use to operate their forks and whatnot, and that would be really handy because while I don't have a problem necessarily playing with the mouse and keyboard per se, it would make life a lot easier to have something that has smoother motion than just using the mouse. But we'll make do for now. And I don't know if you guys have looked into it or not, but man, those the wheel side panel combinations, and I know they're made specifically for heavy equipment use, farm simulator and other type games, which probably means, you know, they've got a somewhat limited market, but they are spendy. you're going to drop $250, $300 just to have those. So I am not in any kind of position to drop that kind of cash on gaming hardware just at the moment. I like the fact that this bale barn is taking them straight off of the bale forks. A lot of times it'll take anything that's not directly forked and then leave the one on the fork, so you have to drop it, but not in this case. I wonder if I can't just push some of these around. Well, that's not going to work, is it? There we go. So there we go. All the bales are off the field. In the barn, we have got 21 hay and 17 straw. So we are set pretty well for the moment. I think the next time we mow that field of grass, we might turn those into silage bales. And again, we've got these over here that we need to use up first because they are sitting outside and we don't necessarily want that. I think with all of the work that we need to get done today, my best option at the moment is going to get a worker to at least start harvesting this field. Get the soybeans off. I'm going to grab the sprayer and we're going to get that grass fertilized real quick. We should be able to get a cutting off of it about once a day. As far as the game is concerned anyway. I believe in real life most farmers actually get anywhere from 2 to 4 cuttings on their grass. I've been watching a really interesting series, just short little episodes, so it's quick and easy to watch, but it's called Rare Breed, a farming year, and it's about farmers in Ireland. And while some of them just do arable farming, I'd say a goodly portion, at least the show is showing a goodly portion who are doing sheep and cattle. But one of Ireland's natural commodities is grass, apparently. They love their grass, and you see a lot of people making silage in a lot of different ways. Well, our tractor's getting a little beat up, isn't he? Get that taken care of. You know, I need to change the color on these too. Go. Oh, I don't know why I didn't just park this tractor over there, but we'll park it here for now. But yeah, in Ireland, grass is just a huge commodity, and they are constantly growing it and mowing it. But then so are sheep and cattle. You know, they have a constant need for hay and silage and straw. We'll go see if we can't help this worker out. Dump some of those soybeans so he or she can keep on going. And then I think that's going to wrap it up for us. I think didn't get as much done today as I wanted to, but still got a lot done. We got our grass taken care of. We got our bales taken care of. Straw. We got the new bale barn, which is going to serve us well. No need to fill it up, but there are things that I still want to get done. I talked about planting some trees today. That would have been good. And looks like that's going to be in the next episode, which is fine. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to carry on with this harvest and get out of the way here, and we will see you next time. Take care.